It is 9:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, how are you? It's Chris Hand, broadcasting live from our newly redesigned air studio here down on Music Row. And this looks pretty nice, guys. Pretty nice.
Ooh.
It looks pretty fancy if you're watching on YouTube. It's still a work in progress. We're gonna work out some kinks, but we appreciate you. While you're there, hit the like and subscribe button. You can even get notifications whenever we go live.
Yes, sir.
So you never miss a moment of Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You can listen wherever you are. My wife is at the gym right now, listening on the iHeartRadio app. Hello, Virginia. And you can also listen on the TuneIn app, the 99.7 app. If you missed something, want to hear it again, share it with a friend. Podcasts are available on Apple and Spotify. That's all the things, except for the fact that the show is brought to you by Better Water LLC.
Yes,
we love
sir.
our friends at Better Water LLC. You got to have clean water because you don't want to find yourself in a situation like this.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
BetterWater.com.
What a great start to a show.
I don't know why. They told me I got a water filter sponsor. I was like, perfect. And then I met the guys, and they're awesome. Craig and Brady down there. I was like, do you guys mind if I do that? They're like, no, we actually think it's hilarious.
That's
like,
awesome.
Perfect. And it'll make people remember BetterWater.com. There's so much to get to today. I try to unplug over the weekend. Like, full disclosure, like I really do make an effort. Sometimes I'm better at it than others. Also, full disclosure. But like Friday night, I closed the laptop and I'm like, okay, the big story on Monday is going to be Trump versus Karen Bass, right? And then, Saturday we got hockey down at Fordyce Antioch Center. I got my daughter playing. I got my oldest son Brooks playing. So we're doing hockey things. And then I went home with the kids and I played hockey in the street all day. And we actually, one of our listeners brought me street hockey goalie pads and all that jazz at one of our Hop Springs parties.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we have all this stuff. So like we're out there until it got dark. Then Sunday morning, we went down to World Outreach Church, as we always do. Pastor John Amachukwu was there over the weekend. He was fantastic. Was he not fantastic, Joan?
Oh, he was so good.
That guy, his truth and his fire, his passion, it is inspiring and invigorating.
It's that passion that I just love.
And he's such a nice guy.
Oh, yeah.
He is he's a giant of a man. But when you meet him, he's like a teddy bear. Like he's just so kind.
Gentle giant, yeah.
Yeah, so we went down there. We grabbed a couple books, and then we went down. We met John, and we were like, hey, sign these books. Thank you. So we got to see John, and then I go out to lunch after church like we often do. And then by the time I got home and the kids are in a good spot, and I open up my laptop and see what's been happening the past 2 days. I find out that there was a trade war with Colombia that I missed. Like what?
Yeah, just a small one.
So
just
like
a small one.
I opened up. I checked the gram, and I opened it up, and I see real Donald Trump posted a new photo, and it's him. And he's looking like a mobster in a dark alley with a sign behind him that says FAFO with a smiley face, which, as you know, is F around and find out. And I was like, what happened? I didn't know what happened. You never know. That could mean anything with Donald Trump. But you find out that Sunday morning sometime, Colombia decided, we're not taking your repatriation flights. That's a nice way to say we're not going to take back the illegal, violent gang members and cartel aficionados that you're sending back to us. They said 2 flights. We're not taking them back. And Trump found this out and decided to go golfing. And then he sent out a post on True Social. A post on True Social where he threatened essentially Colombia's well-being. I mean, it was this post is wild, and I'll read you the post he sent out because this is a classes in session moment for anybody that thinks Donald Trump isn't a good leader. He says, I was just informed that 2 repatriation flights from the United States with a large number of illegal criminals were not allowed to land in Colombia. This order was given by Colombia's socialist president, Gustavo Petro, who is already very unpopular amongst his people. Petro's denial of these flights has jeopardized the national security and the public safety of the United States. So I have directed my administration to immediately take the following urgent and decisive retaliatory measures. Emergency tariffs on all goods at 25% coming into the United States. In 1 week from today, the tariffs will be raised to 50%. a travel ban and immediate visa revocations on the Colombian government officials and allies and supporters. Enhanced customs and border protection inspections of all Colombian nationals and cargo on national security grounds. IEEPA, Treasury, banking, and financial sanctions fully imposed. These measures are just the beginning. We will not allow the Colombian government to violate its legal obligation with regards to the acceptance and return of the criminals they forced into the United States. Boom. Mic drop moment. Trump goes back to golf. Whoa. Okay. Within 30 minutes from those True Social posts, the Colombian government relented, and then the Colombian president even said, you can use my presidential plane to bring these illegals back. You can use Air Force Columbia One to bring these illegals back into your country. Wow. Unbelievable. Remember when they told us the Biden administration, the adults were back in charge? This is the adults being back in charge. And the Colombian president got dragged, for the record. Charlie Kirk posted, for those unaware, the president of Colombia is a literal cross-dressing Marxist terrorist whose revolutionary group killed hundreds of Colombians. America should not and will not be bossed around by the terrorist president of a foreign country. And he brought receipts. In October of 1985, while disguised as a woman, Petro was arrested and incarcerated after he was found to be in possession of firearms, homemade explosives, and propaganda. So this cross-dressing terrorist socialist president of Colombia found out. He effed around, and he found out very quickly. Wild situation. Absolutely wild. So Colombia quickly responds, offers up the presidential plane to help to repatriate these deportees. And then Trump posted an AI photo of himself on Instagram, dressed like a mobster, with the letters FAFO and a smiley face. My favorite part of the entire photo was the smiley face. There's nothing better than that. Nothing. It's wild, though. And the timing couldn't have been worse for the Colombian president to try this, okay? Do you know what the third largest export of Colombia is? Well, it's flowers. Weird. Roses in particular. And what do we have coming up here in about 2 weeks? Oh, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day. So this is like their biggest air cargo shipment that they do all year. They get ready for it. They line up. They get everything lined up. They're ready to move, right? And that process has already started. Trump said there will be 25% tariffs on anything coming in, and you're going to get extra hard inspections on any of your air cargo coming in. They would have delayed all of that. And if they didn't fix it in a week, that would have gone up to 50%. This is the third largest export of Colombia. Valentine's Day in America is a moneymaker in Colombia. The lack of foresight from the Colombian president blows my mind. And I don't know which one was greater. Did Trump absolutely understand what their third largest export was and know I got him by the you-know-what? Or was the Colombian president just a massive idiot in doing this in the first place? I mean, both can be true. Both can be true. But in the aviation industry, this is from Rasmussen. In the aviation industry, the contracts for overnight flower deliveries, roses, from Colombia on around February 8th to 12th are some of the biggest air cargo logistical operations reoccurring on an annual basis. And Trump figured that out relatively quickly, or someone close to him did, and said, this is what we're going to do. And the president of Colombia screwed himself. Congratulations. You played yourself. And at the same time, every other Latin American country was put on notice. Everybody was. I mean, listen, it's a beautiful thing when everybody's put on notice. It is. And they needed to be put on notice. We're not messing around. We're not. You're going to send your criminals, your gang members, your mental asylum patients into our country. They're going home. They're going home. Sorry. And if you want to make it difficult, we too can make it difficult, says Donald Trump. F around and find out. F around and find out. The president of Honduras has also called an emergency meeting of all Latin American and Caribbean countries to figure out how to cope with President Trump after Colombia's tactics completely backfired. There's an emergency meeting. It's so good. It's so good. The pro tempore presidency of the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, the CELAC, currently held by the Republic of Honduras, presents its kind regards to all the national coordinators and members of the CELAC on the occasion of reporting that President Castro is calling an urgent, extraordinary meeting of presidents and heads of states for next Thursday, January 30th, 2025 at 11 a.m. Honduras time. In this regard, it is reported that the said meeting has been scheduled in a hybrid format. It is also worth noting that His Excellency Gustavo Petro Urrego, President of the Republic of Colombia, incoming PPT of CELAC, has confirmed his participation in person. Agenda items. Number 1, migration. Migration's number 1. They absolutely understand that things are changing. Things are changing rapidly. Like I said, I tried to check out with my kids so I could spend time with my kids and my wife over the weekend, thinking the biggest news story that I'm going to cover on Monday is Trump versus Karen Bass. Sunday afternoon, everything was sent through a loop because Donald Trump was not playing around with Colombia. I don't understand why Colombia felt the need to do this, but you know what? If you want to be made an example of, we will oblige you. We will. And Donald Trump obliged them relatively quickly. I think they learned. I think we all learned something over the weekend. Actually, I think everybody was learning. Everybody was learning. It's unbelievable. And then Donald Trump at the same time, man, he was busy all weekend long. He had a rally in Las Vegas. They got Pete Hegseth confirmed. We're going to cover that a little bit later in the show. We got Trump v. Karen Bass, which is unbelievable. And then some massive interviews. We had J.D. Vance on with Margaret Brennan on CBS. And we had Tom Homan on with Martha Raddatz on ABC. Just a huge news weekend, even without the Colombian president effing around and finding out relatively quickly. So we're going to cover all that today on the show and more. If you want to join the show, 615-737-9986. If you want to take a look at our fabulous studio renovations, well, you can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. When you're on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. I have 4 kids back at home, and it really helps out feeding them and doing things like that when you like and you subscribe. So please help me out there. Coming up next, Trump at a Vegas rally, absolutely roasting Biden, and just about every other world leader at the exact same time. It could be the best couple of minutes of radio that you'll hear all day. And it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with 4547. We'll play that for you next right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Up ahead, a gruesome discovery at a Murfreesboro apartment complex and the one legislative issue that is not on the agenda for the state's legislative session, which is taking place today. Those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 9:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hay, and show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Get a water filtration system or water softener, betterwater.com. They're right here in Middle Tennessee. They'll help you out. Donald Trump, busy all weekend long. When he wasn't golfing or threatening the entire nation of Colombia, he actually had a rally in Vegas. And he spent his time at the rally in Vegas to just roast about everybody that he could, from Biden to other world leaders. And again, this may be the best 2 minutes of radio that you'll hear all day. And it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with 4547.
Our country was on the verge of some of the very bad things, and bad things were happening. And now there's light not only over America. I've heard it from even our enemies. They call up and they say, "Sir, we hate you. We do hate you, but there's light over the world right now." They hate me. Some of them hate me. If they liked me, you got a problem, right? They like Sleepy Joe. What's not to like? You know, they'd call up. It's funny. I was told today by one of the big leaders of the world, would call for a telephone call with the President of the United States a year ago, and they'd say, "We'd like to speak with, who is this?" It's the head of Germany, the head of, name it, the head of France, the name of any country, it didn't matter. He would never pick up the call. They'd say, "He'll call you back in 2 months."
He'll call you back in 2 months. 2 months.
2 months. He has his schedule. He's extremely busy sleeping. No. Macron of France, he'll call you back in 2 months. So 2 months comes along and there's no call. They say, he didn't call. The stories are, these stories are not very exaggerated. I want to tell you, they're a little bit for laughter, but, you know, it's only for laughter. The fake news will say, "Oh, he exaggerated. It was only 1 month," you know. But he'll say he'd call you back, and then he'd never call, and then they could never get him on the phone. And the problem I have is that when I speak to and I speak to them immediately, they'll say, "Could we speak to the president? Would that be possible? We could do it anytime over the next month." They're so used to this, right? I say, "No, I'll pick it up right now." Is he on the phone? "Yeah, hello, how you doing?" That's what, you know, get it over with, right? Get it over with. The only problem, they were so starved for love from the United States, I cannot get them off the phone. I can't get people, if you can't, I say, "I have to go now, King," or "I have to go now, President." But you can't get them off the phone. They're starved for love. You know, for years they haven't spoken. They didn't even know we had a president, if you want to know.
I mean, this guy, he's incredible. They're starved for love. They're starved for love from the United States. Even our enemies, they're starved. They're starved for love. That's Donald Trump. He's at a rally in Vegas, and it's just wild. But it's so hard to keep up with the news. It really is. I mean, I made the remark a little while ago. You know, I try to check out for the weekend, and I think, you know, one story is going to be the top story, and it's completely different by the time I check back in Sunday. And even CNN is having a hard time yesterday keeping up with the news from the past week. This was on CNN yesterday, and they're so down in the dumps, they don't know where to begin or how to start. And they played a montage of Trump talking about all of his executive actions that he's taken.
Within hours of taking the oath of office, I declared a national emergency at our southern border. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze. I declared a national energy emergency. I withdrew from the World Health Organization. We got rid of the woke crap. I pardoned hundreds of political prisoners.
Welcome back to State of the Union. My panel is here. You just heard some of what Donald Trump was talking about, the president giving a list at his rally in Las Vegas last night. I mean, we're trying to figure out the best way to capture all of this. We've done a lot of the scrolling. This is just, you can see how thick it is, day one.
She's got a stack of papers that's like 3 inches thick. This is just day one. Listen, the strategy was to overwhelm the left. All sides, okay? Legislatively and then in the media, they don't know where to begin. It's absolutely working. Make no mistake about it. And you can see that it's working anytime you look at these media pundits' face. Dana Bash here, she looks just so down and exhausted and just sad. It's honestly pathetic. I'll be honest with you. It's pathetic. Like, this is what we're dealing with. Oh my gosh. Can you believe this? The orange man did all this. Make him stop. Show me on the doll where the orange man touched you. I don't know. These people need some help. Donald Trump, he just keeps going. He keeps going. And you know what? He's actually liked now more than ever before. And he did something that's never, ever happened before, much to the chagrin of CNN's Kate Bolden. I'll tell you about it when we get back. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning now, 9:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 37 now, partly cloudy. We'll head up to about 47 later. The full forecast still to come. A baby was shot multiple times and killed at a Murfreesboro apartment complex over the weekend. Police say they were called to Chelsea Place Apartments on Bradyville Pike yesterday afternoon. That is where they found the baby, along with the mother suffering from a gunshot wound to the hand. Now, the shooter is 25-year-old Marcavius Hampton. He was found dead in Williamson County from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. 2 teenagers are facing charges for making threats against their principals. These arrests come on the heels of that deadly shooting at Antioch High School last week. Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell.
This is not a joke. It's very serious. Metro Nashville Police Department, the FBI, and other law enforcement are constantly monitoring for threats of violence against our schools, and those responsible, once identified, will be prosecuted.
Metro Nashville police say a 17-year-old from Antioch High School posted a threat against her principal on Instagram. She was arrested Saturday. And a 13-year-old boy at Madison Middle School also arrested over the weekend for emailing a threat to his principal. Meantime, protesters plan to hit the state capitol today ahead of that special session of the state legislature. Activists like this one are, in their words, demanding new gun legislation.
Covenant was less than 2 years ago. 2 years. And we're back here doing the same drill, pleading and asking, hoping and praying that they will do something about gun violence. We're no longer asking, we're demanding. In this special session, in this Tennessee General Assembly, gun violence preventions better be put in law now.
Students at Antioch High School are back for the first time since the shooting tomorrow. They plan to skip classes and protest outside the school. That's the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 9:32 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. If you like going to places where there are things that go pew-pew, look no further than my friends at the Glock store. When I go to train, and I should be going more often, you should too, I do it at the Glock store. Personal instructors, private shooting rooms, it's nothing else that can be compared to it. There's nothing else like it in Nashville. This is the only spot you can go to where you don't have lane ranges where somebody's shooting next to you. You have a private shooting room with a personal instructor. The Shoot270.com indoor ranges are completely set apart. You'll actually shoot less and learn more every single time you go down there. I guarantee it. And all month long, if you book a shooting session at Shoot270.com and you mention my name, Chris Hand, you get to shoot an H&K suppressed MP5 for free. Full auto. This thing is unbelievably fun to shoot, and you get to do it for free. All you got to do is mention my name. It's a $50 value, but the fun, the fun value, you can't even put a value on it. Trust me. The right way to train is with a personal instructor in a private shooting room, and every time you're going to be learning a lot. You're going to go through real-world scenarios, and it's only at the Glock store. The incredible, incomparable Shoot270.com. Minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere. Book your session right now. Shoot270.com. It's 9:37. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Get a water filtration system, betterwater.com. I'm Chris Hand. Hey, how are you? You can find me on Twitter, True Social, and Instagram at Chris Hand on Air. Hit the follow button. You can find us, watch the show, and our newly revamped studios on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. If you're over there on the YouTube page, hit like, hit subscribe, and you can even pop in for notifications for whenever we go live. So CNN yesterday, they were in a panic. CNN's Kate Bolden, she had a hard time swallowing the news that their poll guy, Harry Enton, brought to her. The news is that Donald Trump has a higher approval rating than he has ever had.
This is a very different Donald Trump. He's leading a very different administration in the way he's attacking things, and the American public is very much more in line with him than they were at any point during his entire first term.
Well, I would say, correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump.
I would say, let me, hold on. Orange man's still bad, please. Right? Everybody agrees. Orange man is still bad.
Correction, this is not a very different Donald Trump. This is a very different Donald Trump as being viewed by voters in this.
In the way he's going about things with Susan Wiles leading things, I think he is, going at things in a much less disorganized fashion, much more organized.
She's like, oh, it's different the way voters are viewing him, but it's not different. Nothing's changed. I think she's absolutely dead wrong. Everything has changed. You have a guy that knows exactly what he's doing. He has spent 4 years watching and waiting and figuring out how he wants to do things differently. It's been completely different. This is completely different than what we saw in 2016. The voters understand this. And you know what? He's now got the highest net approval rating that he's ever had. Because people understand things are different.
Take me back in history.
Take you back in history. So it was so interesting to me that Donald Trump's first net approval rating of his second term is higher than his entire first term. And I was interested, has that ever happened? Has the second term net approval rating in the first month, have you ever had a higher rating than any net approval rating during the entire first term? Donald Trump is the only...
I have a really hard time believing this.
This is 100% true. I went back. I love spreadsheets. Donald Trump is the first guy ever whose net approval rating in the first month of his second term is higher than any rating that he had as an entire first term, Cape.
Unbelievable. So his net approval rating is higher in the first month of his second term than it is in the first month of his first term. And this has never happened in American history before. And the bleep-eating grin that Kate Bolden has on her face, I have a hard time believing this. Yeah, you're in your liberal echo chamber, ma'am. You need to get out and look around the real world and understand that people have been clamoring for this. And now that Donald Trump is in office, and in less than a week, he's gotten more done than Joe Biden has gotten done in 4 years. Yeah, people approve of that. People approve of the president going to work. I know. It's a weird theory. We just had a guy that spent, more than half of his term on vacation. So, yeah, people like it when the president works.
Baldwin. This is true. I don't make stuff up. The numbers are the numbers.
I believe you in nothing except when you have it in the wall, and then I believe everything you say.
She wants to rip out her hair when she hears this news. She wants to claw out Harry Enton's eyeballs. So how could you bring this to me? How could you do this on my show? She has the hardest time dealing with it. But listen, the proof is in the pudding. The American people understand fully that the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself, well, they're looking out for the American people again. I'll say it again. People understand that the Trump administration are looking out for the American public again. Full stop. And it starts with the number one issue that they could never wrap their heads around. It was immigration. It was always immigration, then the economy. You're having millions upon millions of illegal aliens pour into this country, gang members from prisons, from mental institutions. Everybody knew what was happening with immigration. So even if they weren't vocal Trump supporters, they knew it needed to change. They knew it needed to be fixed. We went back and we played old Bill Clinton State of the Union last week. And it's like, this never used to be a right and left thing. It shouldn't be. You can't come into this country illegally and expect to stay. So The American people know that Donald Trump is working for them, not for the illegal aliens. Debit cards cut off, free flights cut off, hotels are ending. Like, enough of that. J.D. Vance was on with CBS News' Margaret Brennan over the weekend, and this was a fantastic interview as well. And it's just another reason why the American people are looking at this administration like, yeah, you're the party of common sense. JD continuously shut down Margaret Brennan as she was arguing in favor of illegal immigration. This is what Margaret Brennan did. She basically wanted to argue that, hey, we need these people, and we're vetting everybody great. And J.D. Vance just continually shut her down time and time again.
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals have been properly vetted.
But there are 30,000 people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary concern as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people.
Full stop. That should be your primary concern. And listen, we have 30,000 Afghan refugees in the pipeline. Do you trust the documentation coming from Afghanistan? Do you? Is their record keeping solid? They got that on lock? Listen, it's a disaster of a country. It's been at war for the better part of 2 decades. Everything's blown to smithereens except for the record keeping office. Don't worry. All 30,000 of those have been vetted properly. Are we going to play that game? Is that what Margaret Brennan is arguing? I'd be willing to take that bet. I would.
And now that we know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people are vetted.
Good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't.
Clearly he wasn't. Listen, he shuts her down time and time again. These people were vetted. Well, these people were vetted. By who? By who? Like the guy that tried to plan a terrorist attack in Oklahoma, Margaret? That guy was properly vetted? Oh, he was vetted. He was so vetted. We vetted him thoroughly. And then he tried to plan a terror attack. Okay. It's weird. I don't know. Do you properly vet people and then you see that they're going to plan terror attacks, you let them in? Okay. She still tries to defend it.
I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
I love that line. Listen, if I don't want it for my kids, why would I want it for yours? Why? We all understand that Joe Biden had a special set of rules for his kids. That's done. If Vance and Trump wouldn't want it for their kids, they don't want it for yours either. Again, the American people understand that they're being looked out for again on the national stage.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Yeah, facts. Well, we don't know. We don't know. He could have been radicalized when he got here. Okay. Sure, Jan. Yeah, sure. The adults are back in charge. They told us that time and time again when Joe Biden retook office, and it was a farce, to put it nicely. It's a farce. Trump and Vance, if they don't want it for their kids, they don't want it for yours. I'll sign up for that, 100%, every time. J.D. Vance had a lot to say during this interview with Margaret Brennan, and it did. It circled around immigration quite a bit. And then at one point, Margaret Brennan, it's like the Simpsons episodes where like, say the line, Bart. And it's like, yeah, say the line. Margaret Brennan said the line. We're a nation of immigrants. We're a nation of immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by immigrants.
Well, this is a country founded by...
This is a unique country.
This is a very unique country, and it was founded by some immigrants and some settlers. But just because we were founded by immigrants doesn't mean that 240 years later that we have to have the dumbest immigration policy in the world.
Right? Yeah, it's a nation of immigrants. Okay, cool. So we should still be just blatantly stupid when it comes to our immigration policy? Well, we are a nation of immigrants. Okay. All right, great. Great. She said it with this smirk on her face, like, I got him. Like she had it in her notes. I'm going to say we're a nation of immigrants. That's the line. I'm surprised she didn't recite the poem on the foot of the Statue of Liberty. It's like, which was added after the fact, by the way. Statue of Liberty is overrated. But, I digress. A lot of this conversation with J.D. Vance and Margaret Brennan was around immigration. And the conversation turned to birthright citizenship relatively quickly.
Legal challenges already to one of the other immigration actions, the order on birthright citizenship. A federal judge appointed by Ronald Reagan, I think you'd agree, has some conservative credentials.
Sure.
I love how they always bring up Reagan. This judge was appointed by Ronald Reagan. Listen, I like Reagan as much as the next guy, but like when it comes to immigration, he screwed the pooch. When he did the amnesty, he basically gave away California to Democrats forever after that. So, like, okay. So this judge was appointed by Ronald Reagan. You'd agree. He's got some conservative credentials. Ronald Reagan. Okay. So now we have to let birth tourism happen in our country. We have to let anchor babies happen in our country. Ronald Reagan, guys. Ronald Reagan.
Pause the order to end birthright citizenship, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. How do you reconcile this challenge to the 14th Amendment to the Constitution?
So I obviously disagree with that judge, and these things, some of them will be litigated. That's the nature of our constitutional system. But here's the basic idea of President Trump's view on this. If you are a lawful permanent resident or a legal immigrant who plans to stay, your children, of course, should become American citizens.
And nobody's arguing with that.
But let's say you're the child of an ambassador. You don't become...
But that's not part of it.
Well, that is
already a carve-out
an
having to do
important
with kids of
principle.
diplomats.
But we're saying that carve-out should apply to anybody who doesn't plan to stay here. If you come here on vacation and you have a baby in an American hospital, that baby doesn't become an American citizen. If you're an illegal alien and you come here temporarily, hopefully, your child does not become an American citizen by virtue of just having been born on American soil.
This is not a radical take. This is essentially what everybody realizes is the right way to go. You can't just come out of your mother's womb here and be a citizen here. You have to be subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And if you're in the country illegally, you're not. You're not. If you're in the country visiting on vacation, you're not. If you plan to go home, your kids can't be citizens here. And listen, if you're an illegal alien and you don't plan to go home, we plan to send you home, so your kids can't be citizens here. J.D. Vance handles these questions like a pro. It's one of the reasons why he was such an asset on the campaign trail. He can roast you in the most polite way possible. It plays. It plays to the moderates. It plays to the people that watch CBS Face the Nation. He never gets irate. He never gets angry. He just breaks things down in a way that you can understand. And JD had a lot more to say. They started talking about the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops and the money that they make funding refugee resettlement. I can't wait to talk about this. We'll cover it when we return right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name's Chris Hand, and listen, when I'm thinking about investing and I'm thinking about the future and our retirement, my wife and I, we trust one guy, Paul Winkler and his team at Paul Winkler Inc. Also, Michael down at Paul Winkler, he's awesome too. We actually trust the whole team. One of the reasons you can trust the whole team is the honesty that they put up front. Now, Paul wants to make sure that I tell you I get paid to do these commercials. And I'll double down and say I do, but I don't get paid to be a client. I'm a client because I trust the team. I trust the team because they don't work on commission. That's huge. I don't feel like I'm getting hit with sales tactics when I deal with the guys at Paul Winkler. I'm getting honest information, and their main focus is education. That's been the truth since the beginning. Paul actually got his feet wet in the industry by studying under an economist who went on to win a Nobel Prize. And since then, he's been off and running. If you don't know where to begin with your financial investments and your retirement planning, I'll tell you where you begin, paulwinkler.com. That's where you need to go. You can set up a 15-minute phone call and start learning today, paulwinkler.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
What's new at Antioch High School for its reopening tomorrow? Also, a popular face moisturizer has been recalled. Those stories coming up at 10 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, I don't want to spoil your newscast on the way.
Yeah, okay, good, thanks.
But it wasn't beef tallow, was it?
It was not.
Yeah, never is.
Is that a face moisturizer now?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Virginia's all in on it.
Oh, well, I got to get in on it, too.
I'll have her send you a pic.
Okay, good. Good.
Because it works, man.
It's a thing.
It works.
It's a thing, yeah.
You know, the natural stuff never gets recalled.
It's true.
Just doesn't.
Yep.
Joan Jones has got the news on the way. We got a lot to talk about. You remember during the election, we spent a lot of time on why won't Christians vote for Trump? Do you remember that? I remember that. Pepperidge Farm remembers. We were like, oh, is it because he's mean? It's because he cheated on his wife one time, or maybe more than a few. But anyway, why can't you wrap your head around it? Oh, well, he's not as pro-life as he needs to be. And I thought, well, that's been debunked, right, with all the pro-life pardons. But I'm beginning to think that there were a lot of Christians that were being advised by their leadership not to vote for Donald Trump, and they'll give a reason, but I think the reason really fell more on the bottom line because they make a lot of money via refugee resettlements. J.D. Vance was asked about this during his interview with Margaret Brennan. And then in a separate interview, Tom Homan on ABC with Martha Raddatz, well, Tom Homan called out the Pope. I got a lot more to bring you. Hang out with us. They're putting fake Christians on notice here in this Trump administration. We'll play you the relevant audio next. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 37 and partly cloudy now. We're going to get some sunshine around here later. The forecast still to come. When Antioch High School reopens for the first time since a shooting tomorrow, it'll be with a modified class and cafeteria schedule so students can go for counseling and have time to file through a new weapons detection system. Evolve is being tested at the front doors. And after the Omni Alert camera system failed at detecting the shooter's weapon last week, School Superintendent Adrian Battle is reportedly not considering a traditional detection system, a metal detector, despite an online petition calling for Tennessee lawmakers to mandate metal detectors in all schools. Students at Antioch High say even before last week's shooting, there were too many incidents of fights and weapons being brought into the school.
There's been gun threats. They have not done a single thing after this, which makes me upset. Time after time again, they've showed that they are not listening to their students. So we're just ready to take the next steps in order to make Metro Nashville Public Schools a safer place.
That student speaking to Channel 4. Other news of the day, nearly 1,000 illegal aliens were arrested yesterday. ICE hitting places across the country throughout the weekend.
Top Trump administration officials, including Border Czar Tom Homan, visited Chicago over the weekend for the beginning of the immigration crackdown there. Near Denver, federal agencies converging on what they describe as a makeshift nightclub, finding drugs, weapons, and cash, and arresting 49 people, most of them alleged members of a Venezuelan gang.
ABC's Nicole D'Antonio reporting President Trump is pushing for the pace of those arrests to pick up. By the way, President Trump is set to sign an executive order today that will reinstate service members who were booted from the military for refusing to get their COVID-19 vaccine. Anyone who gets reinstated will be returned to their prior rank and get back pay and benefits. If you've got a jar of First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream in coconut vanilla, better toss it out. The FDA said it's being recalled after the manufacturer admitted it didn't follow good manufacturing practices. The FDA said using that product could cause temporary or permanent health consequences. The cream went viral on TikTok for dissolving wrinkles. It's sold at places like Sephora, Ulta, and at Walmart. Well, there's some turbulence ahead on Wall Street as American companies have become alarmed over Chinese artificial intelligence startup DeepSeek, which introduced an open source AI product at a fraction of the cost for U.S. companies. It's fueling concerns in the U.S. that it's leading in the AI race, but China may be shrinking that lead. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrials are down 74. The Nasdaq, though, down 536 points. S&P 500 index is minus 102. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Hand. We are live in our brand new renovated studios, which you can watch on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. And if you're on the YouTube channel, you search for Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hit like and subscribe on the channel. We appreciate it. The more likes and subscribes we have, the more my kids get to eat. So if you don't want them to eat, don't like and subscribe. That's up to you. I can't make you do anything, but I would appreciate it.
Strongly appreciated.
I mean, the kids would. The kids would.
Oh, absolutely.
I'd be like, sorry, kids. It's bread and water again tonight because nobody liked and subscribed. Sorry. But you don't blame me. Blame my audience. I don't know. Super Talk 99.7 WTN on Facebook. What?
This life that you're compiling for viewers. It's like you get one slice of deli ham a week.
That's it.
One slice.
If we get our subscriptions up, you can have some peanut butter. I promise.
Makes the bread go down a little harder, but man, it tastes better.
The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. We love those guys over at Better Water LLC, betterwater.com if you need a water filter. So last week we were talking about the money, just the buku bucks that the Catholic bishops make resettling refugees in this country. And it's actually like half of their yearly budget. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, or the USCCB, however you say it. It's like $193 million a year in their budget is from NGOs and refugee resettlement. It's insane. And I remember during the campaign and leading up to the election, all this push like. Christians aren't going to vote for Trump. And I remember being like, why aren't pastors speaking out against this? Like, we have the most pro-life president that we've ever had. He sent Roe v. Wade. That got done because of his Supreme Court picks. Went back to the states, and now I'm wondering where a lot of these Christians are at, and why were they so silent during the campaign process? We saw over last week the pardons for the pro-lifers that were protesting via Donald Trump. We saw J.D. Vance at the March for Life. We saw Trump Skype into that march. It's phenomenal. These guys are the most pro-life, the most Christian administration that I've ever seen in my lifetime. I don't know about you, but you always get this pushback from the Christians. And it's weird because I don't see it in my Christian circles so much, but I know that there are Christian circles out there, especially in the Catholic Church, that really don't like this guy. And I'm wondering why. And it's like the more you dig into how much money gets made with refugee resettlements, the more you have to ask the question, is it the bottom line? Are they against this Trump administration and this presidency because it's going to hurt their cash flow? J.D. Vance was talking about the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops over the weekend during his interview with CBS's Margaret Brennan. And again, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops makes $193 million a year resettling refugees into your community. Insane, right? Insane. So this came up in conversation.
The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops this week condemned some of the executive orders signed by President Trump, specifically those allowing immigration and customs enforcement to enter churches and to enter schools. Do you personally support the idea of conducting a raid or enforcement action in a church service, at a school?
Well, let me address this. Of course, if you have a person who is convicted of a violent crime, whether they're an illegal immigrant or a non-illegal immigrant, you have to go and get that person to protect the public safety. That's not unique to immigration.
First of all, I love the way he diffuses that first question, right? Are they going to raid a school or a church? It's like, it's these setup questions built for emotional manipulation. And he says, if you have somebody violent there, why would we want to leave them in the school? Why, right? If you have a known gang member, why would you want to leave them in the church? We're going to get them where we can get them. Plain and simple. And that's not unique to immigration. I love the way he diffused that question, because this is another topic of conversation that we're going to have in a little while. They actually faked an ICE raid in Chicago on Friday at a school. A couple Secret Service agents showed up, and they said, there was a threat across the street at this home, and we had a question. We're looking for somebody. And then they just sent the flares up. ICE is here. ICE is here. They're raiding schools. And even the governor of Illinois jumped in on it. We'll cover that in a little bit, I promise you. But this is what they're going to be using for emotional manipulation. They're raiding schools. They're raiding schools. I love the way he diffuses it, though. If it wasn't an illegal alien, should we just leave a violent offender in the school? Take the illegal alien part out. Would we leave him there? Interesting. Interesting, right? Completely diffuses it. Moving on. The question was, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, they've spoken out against your executive orders in regards to immigration, right? J.D. Vance lays down the hammer.
But let me just address this particular issue, Margaret, because as a practicing Catholic, I was actually heartbroken by that statement. And I think that the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops needs to actually look in the mirror a little bit and recognize that when they receive over $100 million to help resettle illegal immigrants, are they worried about humanitarian concerns, or are they actually worried about their bottom line?
Boom. Honestly, you're getting $193 million a year to resettle refugees, to resettle the migrants, to put illegal aliens into your community. So are you worried about the humanitarian aspect, or are you worried about the money that you're going to be losing? It's an interesting question, one that CBS's Margaret Brennan didn't seem to think of. Again, they get a ton of money. I said 193. I was incorrect. It was 129. I think my dyslexia was jumping in there a bit. $129 million in 2023 came from government contracts. $129 million. That's still nothing to bat an eye at. $129 million. Half of its budget. Insanity. So, yeah, I think they're more worried about their bottom line, wouldn't you? It just makes sense. I don't know. I don't know.
We are going to enforce immigration law. We're going to protect the American people.
Yeah.
Donald Trump promised to do that. And I believe the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, if they're worried about the humanitarian costs of immigration enforcement, let them talk about the children who have been sex trafficked because of the wide open border of Joe Biden.
You personally
let them talk
support them
about
going into
people like
schools
Laken
and
Riley
churches.
who were brutally murdered. I support us doing law enforcement against violent criminals, whether they're illegal immigrants or anybody else, in a
She tries to interrupt him and say, so you support them going into schools. You support that. She just whitewashes over the fact that we have a massive human trafficking operation going on in this country because of Joe Biden's wide open southern border. She ignores the fact that kids are being sold into sex slavery in this country because of that wide open southern border. Oh, but you're sending them home. Oh, no. It's like, yeah, but where's the same energy when kids are being sex trafficked in our country? Where's that energy? I didn't see Margaret Brennan shedding a tear for Laken Riley when that happened, or Jocelyn Nungaray, poor 12-year-old girl who gets raped and murdered in Texas. No tears shed. No big, long CBS News expose. No hard questions for the Biden administration. Miss me with that. She's more worried about, the U.S. Conference of Bishops, they don't like your executive orders. Keep the same energy, honestly. J.D. Vance just shuts her down. And again, J.D. Vance shuts these people down in the most polite, respectful way possible, but he does drop bombs. Make no mistake about it. There are multiple mic drop moments throughout this interview. And he says they're worried about their bottom line, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. They got $129 million last year from contracts to resettle refugees into this country, into your neighborhood, my neighborhood, everybody's neighborhood. $129 million. Do you really care about the humanitarian aspect of this, or do you care about the money aspect of this? It's a fair question.
A way that keeps us safe. Let me ask this question, Margaret. Let's separate the immigration issue. If you had a violent murderer in a school, of course I want law enforcement to go and get that person out.
Of course.
So what's the point of the question?
You changed the regulation this week. That's the point of the question.
Exactly.
Giving the authority to go into churches and go into schools.
We empowered law enforcement to enforce
but
the
that
law
also
everywhere
has
to protect Americans.
Effect, a chilling effect.
Oh, it's
it's
chilling.
To not send their kids to school.
I desperately hope it has a chilling effect on illegal immigrants coming into our country.
You think the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops are actively hiding criminals from
I think the U.S.
law
Conference of Catholic Bishops has frankly not been a good partner in common sense immigration enforcement that the American people voted for. And I hope, again, as a devout Catholic, that they'll do better.
Yeah, well, listen, we all can hope that they'll do better. But it does seem like their decision-making process is swayed a little bit by the $129 million they received last year. And she says, well, would you want a violent offender in your kid's school? She's like, no, but it's having a chilling effect. They might not go to school. It's like, why are we using taxpayer-funded dollars to educate illegal aliens anyway? Can somebody answer me that? Why is that? Why is it that my money and your money that we send to the federal government is being used to educate non-citizens? And at the same time, mind you, in these schools, it's slowing everything else down. I was talking to a teacher, and I'm not going to say her name, but she's out there in Shelbyville. And she says, we have so many non-speaking English students, it's slowing down the entire class. It's slowing everything down. It's hurting our kids. That's not America first. That's not what these people signed up for. That's not what Americans deserve. And it's changing. It's changing quick. But the Catholics, why is it the Catholics? Like and listen, I was raised Catholic. I know many good Catholics. Father Calvin Robinson, who joins the show from time to time. Great guy, Catholic. I'm not knocking Catholics, but the leadership at the top of some of these institutions, you need to question. You need to question. And it goes all the way to the Pope. Tom Homan was having an interview on ABC with Martha Raddatz over the weekend. Excuse me, no, this is on News Nation. He did have an interview with ABC's Martha Raddatz, but this is on News Nation. And they were talking about the Pope, because the Pope is like, hey, we can't have We can't have you hurting these migrants and these refugees. And the Pope has been speaking out about Trump's deportation operation. The Pope is. And Tom Homan was asked about it.
The Pope this week said that it's a disgrace what we're now doing with this new government, deporting all of these people. We've got, obviously there's going to be a lot of media searching for the sad stories here, trying to turn public opinion against this operation. What's your message to the American people as you guys do this work?
Well, let me give a message to the Pope. I'm a lifelong Catholic. I was born Catholic. I've been through Catholic doctrine. Look, he only concentrated on fixing the Catholic Church, first of all. He's got big problems there. In the Vatican, they have a wall around the Vatican. If you illegally enter the Vatican, the crime is serious. You'll be charged with a serious crime, be jailed.
Yeah.
So he can protect the Vatican where he lives. He can build a wall where he lives. Where American people are not allowed that? No. Securing the border saves lives. He needs to understand that. When we secure the border, when less people come, less women get raped by the cartel, less children die in the river, less Americans die from fentanyl overdoses. He ought to stick to it. He ought to stick to the Catholic Church and fix that. That's a mess.
Do you need to say more? I mean, honestly. But no. Listen, they're worried about raids on your schools and the chilling effect that these migrant students may not go to the schools. Why are we funding this anyway? 615-737-9986. Can we go to Robbie in Hickman County first? Robbie, you're up on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Hey, first of all, I am a Catholic. I am deeply ashamed of what my church is doing through Catholic Charities as an organization that is under the table shuttling them all over the country and over the border.
Yep.
Deeply ashamed. That's not my original point. Here's my point. Why do we have to educate these children? 1982 court case, Pratt versus Doe. It was a 5-4 decision. That's pretty close. And it essentially kind of holds that the best protection that can be given to children here would be to allow them or not prevent them from being educated in our public schools, regardless if they are citizens or not. Somebody might want to look that up, but that kind of essentially is sort of where it lies. And here's my point. We need to examine this case and who needs the protection now. 40 years later, 45 years later, who needs the protection now from illegals in our schools?
Yeah.
And I can tell that it's our citizens that now need protection, and this needs to be overturned.
100%. And I'm familiar with Pratt v. Doe, and I do think that if it goes up to the Supreme Court, it would get overturned, especially with this now conservative majority. I appreciate the call, Robbie. Thank you so much. Let's go to Terry in the borough real quick. What's up, Terry?
Hey, Chris. Maybe you can help me out with this, but how many Venezuelans and Colombians and Mexicans has the Vatican taken in?
It's a goose egg, my friend. It's a goose egg.
Okay, well, I was just wondering, I'm not up on current events, but I'd like to have a number on that if you can find it for me.
Yeah, I can tell you, it's zero.
Why is that?
Well, because it's refugees for thee, but not for me.
Okay, so it's okay for everybody else, but they can't break into their walls.
Exactly. And if you do, there's a stiff penalty. You're going to jail. The Vatican has a wall all around it. The same leadership at the Vatican tells us that walls are immoral. They're immoral. Ungodly. It's ungodly. Go figure. Go figure. It's 10:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand, and I got to tell you about my friends at United Structural Systems. We got a little bit of rain last night in Murfreesboro. It wasn't crazy. It was a little drizzle. But I'll tell you what, if you got cracks in your foundation and waterproofing issues, even the slightest bit of rain has to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, and you're nerve-wracked because you know where it's going. It's getting into that crawl space, and it's getting into that basement. Maybe you're not sure, but you see some of the warning signs around your house. You see cracks in your foundation. You see the wet basement walls. You see cracks in your basement floors. Listen, if you see those red flags, it's time to fix them because United Structural Systems will come to your home and create a custom solution for you. They're not going to send a sales guy who's worried about a quota. They're going to come and find out the best solution for you. And if it's a quick fix, they're happy to do it. But if you ignore it, that quick fix, that window is going to close, and you're going to find yourself dealing with wood rot, mold, all sorts of crazy stuff, and it's only going to get worse. Don't let that happen. Call United Structural Systems today. They've been doing this business in Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they have 30,000 satisfied customers. 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. USSTN.com.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Why one senator says the nominee to lead the FBI scares Democrats. And President Trump gets busy signing more executive orders today. That's coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan Jones. 1027 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. What did I say we were going to talk about here? Did I say we were going to talk about something here? I think I was just going in on the Catholic bishops and their $129 million a year that they get to resettle the refugees and the migrants. 615-737-9986. Oh, we were also talking about the illegal alien kids in schools. Yep. Mike is on the road. He wants to talk about that as well. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Great. I want to offer a slightly different point of view.
By all means.
As somebody, I have immigrated twice in my life. Once I was as a child with my parents, and then a second time as an adult into the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to offer a slightly different thing, because the left and the Democrats always want to give these examples about social systems and other countries in Europe. So let's take Switzerland. I grew up in Eastern Europe, behind the Iron Curtain, awful regime. As a teenager, in middle to beginning of high school, we immigrated with my whole family to Switzerland. And the situation was, you can draw a parallel with the situation here, because back then we booked basically a vacation to go to Belgium. We were supposed to go there with a train, and we did this immediately after the Berlin Wall went down, right, when they opened the borders. And when we went there, we basically got off the train in Constance in Germany. And then it was pretty easy. You could just walk down the street and basically cross into Switzerland, basically illegally, which is what a lot of immigrants do here. They book a vacation, go to Mexico, and from there they just walk over to the United States, right?
Yep.
So that's what we did back in the day. And the process was just mind-boggling back then, because you have to turn yourself in after you do that, and they will welcome you, but it's a whole process where for a whole week they basically isolate you. You're under lock and key in a big house with a whole bunch of other immigrants, and it was awful, and
we lost Mike.
In tiny little room and all that. The point that I'm trying to make is that there is a way to do this, where we were educated over there in school, but that was only after we went through the proper process.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying too. Listen, I'm not against immigrants who are English as a second language coming into our school system whatsoever. But if you're an illegal alien and you don't have the proper paperwork, I don't understand why we should be spending tax dollars on this. And I appreciate your call, Mike. It was June of 1982, Plyer v. Doe. The decision was that you cannot constitutionally deny students a free public education on account of their immigration status. I think that could be overturned. I think that they should try to overturn that as quickly as possible, and then we should give some much-needed relief to some of our public schools, because we've all heard the horror stories. Classes being held back because, 20, 30, 50% of the class doesn't even speak English. And this is not a Hispanic thing either. You have kids that are speaking Arabic. You know what I mean? All different languages. It's not sustainable. And it hurts American kids. And spoiler alert, it's the citizens' parents that are paying for the education. So a little ROI would be nice. It's 10:31 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.30, I'm Joan Jones with the top stories. Tennessee's legislature meets today for the first day of a special session devoted to addressing school vouchers, immigration safety, and disaster relief for East Tennessee. Protesters are planning to hit the streets beforehand, calling for more gun control, metal detectors, and overall safety for Nashville's schools after last week's shooting at Antioch High School. Up next for confirmation hearings, RFK Jr. as the head of Health and Human Services. His hearings begin on Wednesday. Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence on Thursday. And Kash Patel goes before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday for head of the FBI. Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn tells Fox News that his nomination stokes fears among Democrats.
They are very fearful of Kash Patel because Kash Patel knows what Adam Schiff and some of the others did with Russia collusion. He knows the dirt on them, if you will.
Patel has said that he would clear out FBI headquarters on his first day in office and reopen it as a museum of the deep state. Meantime, President Trump will sign 2 executive orders relating to the U.S. military today.
The first executive order will reinstate service members removed from the military for refusing the COVID-19 vaccine. President Trump indicated during his inaugural address last week he would do this. The second executive order the president's expected to sign directs the Defense Department to determine a policy regarding transgender service members based on readiness. It would not put in place an immediate ban. President Trump revoked a Biden administration order allowing transgender people to serve in the military. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 10:33 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Busy Bee HVAC. Satisfaction guaranteed. Call Busy Bee HVAC. They have a more than satisfied promise and new year, new comfort specials from Busy Bee. Right now, you can get free air duct cleaning with the purchase of a new complete whole home AC or a free air duct cleaning package upgrade. You buy that middle package, you're upgraded to the deluxe package for free. How about a free furnace checkup with any heating repair service or 15% off indoor air quality products or a complimentary smart thermostat with any HVAC replacement? That's a $200 value, and then you can control your comfort from anywhere. The deals go on and on. The satisfaction is guaranteed. When you talk to Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, they're going to come to your home, and they're going to leave you with a more than satisfied promise. Call them today, 615-775-7833. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, 615-775-7833. Online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
I want to go back to those military flights going south. As you said, we have never seen that before. Is that going to be a constant commitment from the U.S. military every single day to take deportees out?
Yes.
So is this what we will see every single day, ending in what the president has promised is millions and millions being deported?
Yes. But you're going to see the numbers steadily increase.
The estimates of perhaps those who have been convicted or arrested in the past, 700,000 to over 1 million. So after you do that, then you go after everybody who is there illegally.
If you're in the country illegally, you're on the table.
That's Tom Homan and Martha Raddatz over the weekend. Tom Homan just bringing truth bombs to ABC News. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand, broadcasting live from Music Row in our fabulously renovated studios. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, do all the things. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC. Get a water filtration system at betterwater.com. Love those guys. Call Craig or Brandy. They'll hook you up. They will. They're awesome. Tom Homan, also awesome. Just unbelievable. It doesn't do it any justice, but Martha Raddatz's face here, she's having a tough time. She's having a tough time dealing with all these answers. Are you gonna deport everybody? Yes. Oh no. Oh, but what if they're not criminals? Well, did they come in the country illegally? Well, sure. Then they're on the table. Oh gosh, say it isn't so. Oh no. But they only snuck in illegally, Tom.
Oh, no.
Oh.
It was so much effort to get over that fence.
Oh, my gosh. Oh. Well, somebody think of the children. Then they can go with them. Oh, oh no.
Those bus rides were so long. Oh,
no. It just to me, I don't know. This just seems like faux outrage, doesn't it? Like, yes, they snuck into the country illegally. And just about every president until Joe Biden didn't have a problem deporting them. It's a weird coincidence. Now, 4 years after that, we have to deal with this outrage. We have to deal with this sadness. We have to deal with the crocodile tears. Miss me with it. The Washington Post is reporting that Trump officials have issued quotas to ICE officers to increase the number of arrests from a few hundred a day to at least 1,500 a day. You do some napkin math, and that's like 550,000-ish. A little less a year. So maybe the Washington Post number is accurate. And if that's the case, we got to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. If they're not accurate, take it with a grain of salt. Maybe this is like a MAGA demoralization campaign. Or maybe they pulled the numbers out of thin air. Or maybe they were fed bad info. But the Washington Post reporting that the Trump officials have a quota out to ICE, 1,500 a day. But they say the enforcement's ramping up. And you heard Tom Homan in that interview with Martha Raddatz saying those numbers are going to steadily increase. And once we get through the violent offenders, if you're here illegally, you're still on the table.
Because it's not okay to, violate laws of this country. You got to remember, every time you enter this country illegally, you violated a crime under Title 8, United States Code 1325. It's a crime. So if you're in the country illegally, you got a problem. And that's why I'm hoping those who are in the country illegally who have not been ordered removed by the federal judge should leave.
Oh, Tom! Oh, no! Why would you say that? You're a monster. That's what the mainstream media will say. He's a monster. What? Oh, this evil Trump administration. You want to play a game? Let's play a game. Let's play What's That Sound? You ready? We're gonna play What's That Sound? Mason, tell me what this sound is. Any idea?
Sounds like a helicopter to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What you're hearing is the U.S. Marines arriving at the southern border.
Wow.
It's a beautiful sound.
Oh, wow.
Yes, troops have been deployed to the southern border via Donald Trump. It's not just the Marines, Army, Air Force out there as well. This is after the Department of Defense announced last week that they would have 1,500 troops going down there, initially assigned to the border mission. There are reports out there saying this could swell quickly to 10,000 troops. Tom Homan described in that ABC interview with Martha Raddatz, she was so upset about this. He described how the military is busy helping secure our southern border.
this week and began our conversation by asking him about the role of the U.S. military.
We got military on the border, not only helping us with departure flights on military planes, but they're helping to build infrastructure. They're putting up a concertina wire. They're down there to create a secure border and lock that border down. And DOD's helped administrations before, but not at this level. So it's a force multiplier, and it's sending a strong signal to the world. Our border's closed.
Yeah, listen, message is out. Message is clear. Don't come. You'll be sent home. If you're here illegally, you're going to be sent home. You might not be one of the first ones. Maybe not. But you will be sent home. Make no mistake about it. Governor Abbott out of Texas, he was on Maria Bartiromo over the weekend talking about the immediate change that they've seen in border enforcement under the Trump administration. And it's an immediate change. And for guys like Greg Abbott, it's like not only is the government helping him now, but I think the big issue is he's not also fighting against the government. You know, it seemed like the Biden administration sued him anytime he did anything. That's not the case anymore with Trump.
Maria, I don't think there's ever been a more sudden and swift change in any government operation than under President Trump when he took the oath of office. I would say overnight, but on the first hour of his tenure as president, we saw the change where there were military sent to the border. The military were blocking people from crossing the border illegally. The numbers of people who crossed on the 19th of January dropped dramatically on the 20th of January. They have continued to drop, and every single day, President Trump, working with Tom Homan, they've been deporting people to the countries they came from. But to show how Texas is a partner in all this process, on the hour that President Trump took office, Texas was deploying more buoys in the Rio Grande to deter and deny illegal entry into the country. The change, Maria, is this. We suddenly now have a commander-in-chief who cares about national security, who cares about securing the border, who's going to enforce the law. And importantly, he has a governor in a state in Texas that will be a partner with the Trump administration. We will assist in the arrest, the detention, and the deportation of people coming across the border illegally.
Yeah, and again, it's not just that the Trump administration is assisting them, okay? Like the Biden administration could have spent 4 years not assisting Texas, and I don't think we would find ourselves in as big of a hole as we are. But the Biden administration sued Texas to remove those buoys from the Rio Grande. The Biden administration lifted up the concertina wire to let migrants underneath. The Biden administration went to Arizona and said, you're building a shipping container wall? No, you got to take that down. Lawsuit. So it wasn't just that the Biden administration wasn't helping them. It was that the Biden administration was actively doing everything they could to make the border less secure for these states that had to deal with it for 4 years. It couldn't be a bigger swing towards Texas in helping secure this border. It couldn't be. There's no way that you could see this big of a change. Because, again, the Biden administration wasn't just not helping. They were working against us. It's absolutely insane. But you know what they say. Well, how much is all this going to cost? Oh, do you remember when Trump first got into office in 2016? They're like, it's going to be $8 billion for the border wall. It's all. How can we afford that? $153 billion a year later for illegal immigration. It's like, what do you were worried about $8 billion? We're going to deal with that same kind of narrative again. How are you going to pay for this? Tom, Mr. Homan, we don't have the money. It's funny. It's funny how, like, they don't worry about the money for anything, right? Like, who cares? They'll sell out your child's future to send pride festivals to Guam. Like, that's totally fine. But when it comes to actually securing our border and our national interests, well, then they're worried about the cost. If we're bombing a country in the Middle East and Raytheon's making money, no big deal, right? If we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, nobody asks any questions. Nobody bats an eye. I feel like the Joker. It's all part of the plan. It's all part of the plan. Nobody freaks out. But the minute we want to use money to secure our own border, everybody loses their minds, right? Well, Martha Raddatz, she was losing her mind a bit during that interview with Tom Homan. How are you going to pay for this, Tom? Where are you getting the money? Are you soliciting donations, Tom? How are we going to afford this?
To deport all of those people.
Well, I'll leave it up to Congress. I think Congress, the president has a mandate. This was the number one issue that people voted on. I think Congress has a mandate to give us the money we need. What price you put on national security?
That's the best question that you can ask. Send it right back to her. How much do you put on national security? What price do you put on national security?
Security.
More
what
detention
price,
centers?
What price you put on? What price you put on all these young ladies have been raped and murdered and burned alive? What price you put on that? What price you put on Lincoln Riley's life? What price you put on national security? Like I just explained, when you have a surge like this, we don't secure that border. That's when national security threats enter the country. That's when sex trafficking goes up. That's when the fentanyl comes in. It kills 250,000 Americans. I don't put a price on that.
And on those detention centers.
But Tom, what about the budget? How can we afford this, Tom? Again, the only time that they worry about the cost of things is when it's going to improve the lives of American citizens. You don't hate the media enough. You just don't. How much is it going to cost, Tom? Wouldn't it just be cheaper to let the sex trafficking of minors continue in our country, Tom? Don't you think that the American people have spent enough money, Tom? Don't you think we should let women just continue to be raped by the coyotes on their journey up to the southern border? Tom, we don't have the money for this, Tom. Give me a break. Give me a break. They never have these kind of complaints when it's money for somebody else. Never. Have you heard anybody in the mainstream media ever say, well, how are we going to afford funding Ukraine? How are we going to afford funding Israel? How are we going to afford anything else? Anything else? No, you never hear it. You never hear it. You only hear complaints when the money is going to benefit American citizens. Isn't that weird? I find that weird. You never get the same belly aching, do you? Seems a bit off, right? Does it seem off to you? It seems off to me. I'm waiting for a Democrat to step over that line and get made an example of, because you know that's coming, right? The Democrats are actively trying to resist. It's viva la resistance against the Trump administration's common sense border policies. And Governor Pritzker out of Illinois threatened the Trump administration and pushed a doozy of a hoax on Friday. I'll tell you about it when we return. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
West Nashville got a crash, Charlotte Pike at I-40, not on I-40, but on Charlotte Pike there at I-40. Had an earthquake in the Northeast, heart disease still killing a whole bunch of us, and an Auschwitz survivor speaks out. Coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. We got the best news team in the business. Joan Jones in the morning, Ken Weaver in the afternoons. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, betterwater.com for your water filtration system. So Governor J.B. Pritzker, I don't know, does this sound like a threat to you? I feel like it's a threat. He said, we have laws on the books in Illinois that says that our local law enforcement will stand up for those law-abiding, undocumented people in our state who are doing the right thing. And we're not going to help federal officials just drag them away because someone pointed at them and said, oh, that person's brown, or that person's not from here. Oh, I think we're going to need to make an example out of Governor J.B. Pritzker. It's funny, too, because there's all sorts of videos going around. It's like nobody's going after brown people. Like, it's just ridiculous. The wide open southern border via Joe Biden has let everyone from every nation in here. Nobody's looking for Latinos or Latinx, as the Democrats like to call it. Have we put Latinx to bed? Are we still allowed to use Latinx?
I still love it. I think it's good.
I know is it supposed to be Latinx?
It's supposed to be Latinx.
I think Latinx is hilarious.
Latinx is my favorite. I've been saying it a lot.
We're not looking for the Latinx. We're not. We're actually looking for terrorists. You know what I mean? And criminal gang members. If they happen to be brown, I mean, geez, go figure. But, if you're looking for radical Islamic jihadists, those can be white. Skin color is not a thing. See, we're back to meritocracy. And if you happen to have the merits of a violent individual, well, you're top of the list. Furthermore, if you're in the country illegally, by definition, you are a criminal. And Tom Homan has said on numerous occasions, you're not off the table. You're just not. You're going to be subject to the same stuff as everybody else. Trump officials were in Chicago over the weekend. Tom Homan was there personally overseeing deportation operations. And as all of this is happening Friday in Chicago, Illinois officials faked an ICE public school raid. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. The Illinois governor even claimed this on Twitter. Listen to this. Governor J.B. Pritzker on Twitter. After a week of Republicans sowing fear and chaos, the first reports of raids in Chicago are at an elementary school. Targeting children and separating families is cruel and un-American. Except for the fact that it wasn't ICE officials. Chicago Public Schools claimed that on Friday, ICE showed up at Hamline Elementary School to conduct a raid. And that teachers kept the agents out of the school. Those brave teachers. Except none of it ever happened. You see, ICE officials didn't go to the school. It was actually U.S. Secret Service agents, not immigration officers, who went to the school because they were investigating a threat. They told the school officials that they were Secret Service, and yet they still set the flare up that said, ICE is here, run! Insane. You're scaring our kids. It's like, it's your officials saying that ICE are raiding your schools. And for what? To get community noted on Twitter within 15 minutes and to have these videos going around with migrant families tearing up on Twitter? Because that's what they did. They posted these videos on Twitter, crying migrants.
Preocupada por mis compañeros, por la comunidad, alucinada por la comunidad.
He says, it's horrible. I'm worried about my community and my friends. Oh, really? Tell us their names. What were your friends' names and their addresses? We'll check on them. We'll check on them. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Monitoring the Northeast, where the New York Post reports an earthquake measuring 3.8 magnitude rattled Maine and Boston this morning. That's big enough for people to feel, but ones typically around 3.8 do not cause damage. Metro Police have identified the driver killed in a crash this morning near the airport. They say 48-year-old Brian Morwood was driving his Nissan Sentra southbound on Night Valley Drive when, for some reason, left the road and hit a tree head-on. Morwood is from Goodlettsville. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say there was no indication of impairment there at the scene. More nominees going to head to Capitol Hill for their confirmation hearings this week.
Hearings, RFK Jr. as head of Health and Human
Others tell me-
Services. His hearing begins on Wednesday. Tulsi Gabbard is director of national intelligence on Thursday, and Kash Patel goes before the Senate Judiciary Committee Thursday for head of the FBI. Now, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn tells Fox News that his nomination is stoking fear among Democrats.
They are very fearful of Kash Patel because Kash Patel knows what Adam Schiff and some of the others did with Russia collusion. He knows the dirt on them, if you will.
Patel has said that he would clear out FBI headquarters on his first day in office and reopen it as a museum of the deep state. Joan Jones, WTN News.
Well, heart disease still the number one killer in the U.S., according to ABC News. Chief medical correspondent Dr. Tara Narula, going off of the American Heart Association's annual update, finding risk factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, and obesity continue to rise.
Cardiovascular disease kills more Americans than all forms of cancer and accidents combined. That's one American every 34 seconds.
Report says if this trend continues, its estimated U.S. health care costs will rise 300% by the year 2050. Let's check in with Jordana Miller, who's covering Gaza.
The U.S. announcing Israel and Lebanon will extend their ceasefire for another 3 weeks until February 18th. The extension comes after Israel's prime minister announced the IDF would not withdraw from some positions along Lebanon's eastern border with Israel, claiming Hezbollah was still in the area in violation of the ceasefire. Lebanon reporting more than 20 killed Sunday and 80 injured when returning civilians and some Hezbollah supporters clashed with the Israeli army.
80 years ago today, Soviet troops liberated the Auschwitz death camp in Poland. A ceremony at the site, widely considered the last major observance any significant number of survivors will be able to attend. Among them, 86-year-old Tova Friedman, who was 5 years old when she was loaded onto a cattle car and taken to the camp, and remembers seeing children led to the gas chamber.
I thought that we all have to die, that it was normal. If you're a Jewish child, you have to die.
Nazi German forces murdered more than 1 million people at the camp in Poland under German occupation during World War II. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:07 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand broadcasting live from these beautiful, renovated Super Talk studios here on Music Row. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. If you want to see the new studios, hop on over to our YouTube channel, and while you're there, hit like and subscribe. Helps me feed my kids.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Helps feed me. It's like,
it feeds Mason.
Yeah, I'm living off like they are bread and water right now.
Mason's growing.
I'm a growing boy.
we were talking a minute ago about the fake ice raid, the ice raid that never was. So a couple secrets, just to give you an overshot, a couple Secret Service agents showed up at a public school in Chicago, Hamline Elementary, because they were investigating a threat. Okay, the school officials were told that they were Secret Service agents, and went, ICE is here! Run! Is that like a good synopsis?
Yeah, that's pretty much what
It's fairly accurate. It's fairly accurate. Maybe it may be an increased dramatization.
Just a little bit.
But
maybe it was somebody tweeting that they had some nice ice in their cup, and people just misunderstood it.
So Chicago public school officials, ICE showed up. They're raiding our schools. And immediately, which I don't understand. I also don't understand this. Immediately, there's this video going around social media of an undocumented citizen, a newcomer, if you will, crying. They're coming after my friends. They're coming after my family. And I made the joke. Well, what are their names and their addresses? We'll check on them. We'll go check on them. But the governor of Illinois, he's already saying, we're not working with you guys. Federal officials our local officials are going to be standing against federal officials. We got laws in the books. We're going to protect us. But then he tweets, after a week of Republicans sowing fear and chaos, the first reports of raids in Chicago are at an elementary school. Targeting children and separating families is cruel and un-American. Except the fact that it never happened. Never happened. He got community noted to hell on Twitter. And the fake news reports of the migrants crying also got community noted. Bill Malhusian tweeting, literally, none of this was true. Fake news. Fake news. ABC, illustrious, worldwide renowned ABC, reported that after the initial reports, the Secret Service said they approached the school on the south side. And on Friday, Chicago public school officials had initially said the agents were from ICE. Secret Service said they were investigating a threat and responded to a house. They said they were then told the person they wanted to talk to was at Hamline Elementary School, but they did not enter the school. Never let anything go to waste, right? That's Illinois for you. So they went overboard and said it was ICE raiding elementary schools. Let's go to Deborah in Smyrna up first on Super Talk. What's up, Deb?
Hey, Chris, thanks for taking my call. And first, I want to make a quick note and say I love your show. You have a perfect blend of passion, information, and fun, just like our late, great Uncle Phil used to do.
You are so sweet. He was my favorite. That's the highest compliment I can receive. I appreciate you, Deb.
But anyway, I would like to make a comment, put my 2 cents worth on Pritzker, which to me is the classic doublespeak by Dems. But how can you be undocumented and do the right thing at the same time? Because undocumented, by definition, is illegal, which is criminal. So how can you do a criminal thing and do the right thing all at the same time?
Thank you. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Well, they're good members of the community. They're not criminals. It's like, by definition, you are a criminal. By definition. I appreciate the call, Deb. It wasn't just the governor of Illinois getting in on it. Local alderman Raymond Lopez got into it too, tweeting, Chicago was punked, traumatizing an entire community in order to give political hacks, wannabes, and the advocacy group complex a performative photo op standing up to Trump. There aren't enough adjectives and a thesaurus to describe how terrible these folks are. He's absolutely right. Chicago got punked. Now, I don't know if anybody was doing this on purpose to see if they would react this way, but they did. They did. And let's be honest. Let's be honest. I should be going for criminals wherever they are. And if there are criminal gang members in your schools, do you want them there? No. And if you know they're there, should you go after them? Absolutely. Full stop. I have no complaints against that. Let's go to Brian in Nashville next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Brian, what's up, man? How we doing?
Chris, bro, you're my new favorite. Matt was my favorite, but he moved on, so I can't listen to him anymore. I have to spend time with the family.
I hear you. Listen, Matt is doing a great job in afternoons. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but he crushes.
I have, because he crushes just like you. They could move you to 2 in the morning, you'd crush it.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
So I'm loving KGB saying if you walk around asking for ice in your cup or something, is that okay?
Yeah.
So I've been doing that at work. I work with some illegals, I think. I don't know that, but I think they are. And I ask everybody, is it okay if I walk over there and go, if y'all seen any ice for my cup? And just to see if they can keep up. It's a new day in America, and it is the golden age. The sun's shining. Trump's in office. All is well. So the Dems, I don't like Laura Ingraham on Fox, but here's what she said a long time ago. The heads are exploding, and I love that. I love that phrase. So that's exactly what's going, because of people like y'all and because of people like those conservative people on Fox.
Yeah.
Keep bringing it. Because it's we got 4 years of this. Can you imagine? It's a good day every day, even when it's raining.
Well, and I appreciate the call, Brian. Thanks so much, man. But it's like you see the hand-wringing over, they're raiding our schools. They're traumatizing the children. It's like, where was the energy like this when you had over 300,000 missing children via the Biden administration? Kids that were either sold into labor slavery or sex slavery. Nothing. No worries about traumatizing the kids. No worries about the kids that were separated from their families. None of that. And then you see reports that the Trump administration is already finding some of these kids. And you wonder, what the hell was the Biden administration doing for the last 4 years? Trump's been in office a week. I know it feels like longer. And by the grace of God, he is getting a lot of stuff done. He's been in office a week, and they've already found 75 to 80,000 of those missing 340,000 kids. I'll say it again. Trump has been in office a week. They've already found 75 to 80,000 of those missing 340,000 kids. What the hell was the Biden administration doing?
Because I'd like to play that on the air. Like, if Pritzker would like to defend these people without the court and just his old love for illegal immigrants, bring it on. I'd love to see that. Now, the second wave that Tom Home and the borders are for, Trump has told me about, and all of this will focus on those missing children, hundreds of thousands of them that we know. And that number has started to already come down, Emily, from 300,000. So they've found about 75 to 80,000 of those kids already. If they can get the list of these guys, 4 full days in office for Trump, if they can get the list of where some of those kids have been, and they've been identifying it, since the election, going after them and trying to find those little ones, what in the world was Biden's administration doing? What was Secretary of Homeland Mayorkas doing when he said to the committees on Capitol Hill, we don't know where those kids are, I'll look into it? No, dude, you obviously had a better way to find them, and you didn't do your job. I can't believe they impeached him and didn't remove him.
Honestly, what have you been doing? It took them 4 days, and they got 75 to 80,000 of them. 4 days. This problem has been getting worse and worse and worse for 4 years. Insane. Absolutely insane. The Biden administration wasn't just sitting on their hands. They were tying them behind their back. They were actively looking the other direction. They weren't trying to solve any of these problems. They didn't give a damn. These same Democrats are going to get on TV and say, they're targeting our schools. Children are being separated from their families. How much is this going to cost the American taxpayer? Miss me with that. It's deplorable how these people are acting. These Democrats that are standing in the way and vive la resistance, awful people. There was a time in my younger years when I thought that these Democrats and these left-leaning individuals were, they loved the country and they were misguided. I completely have thrown those views away. I think these people are evil. And I think they don't give a damn about you. I think they don't give a damn about the illegal aliens. It's all just pawns on a chessboard. And if you're playing chess, do you have any issue sacrificing a pawn? No, of course not. Of course not. But the Trump administration, they're back at work. Again, they're going to continue working. One of the things that they're going after, and you may remember this story from September 2023, Colony Ridge in Texas. It was this development that was being created where they were giving home loans to illegal aliens, and you have hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens in Colony Ridge. Do you remember that? You remember that story? The Daily Wire exposed all this. Well, now they're going after Colony Ridge. The Trump administration and ICE officials are officially going for Colony Ridge. Again, this could have been done a long time ago. Easily. You knew where they were. The Trump administration's wasting no time. They're wasting no time. Now, I reported earlier that the Washington Post is saying that Trump officials have issued a quota for ICE, and they want at least 1,500 illegal aliens arrested a day. And then you do the napkin math on that. It's like a little less than 550,000 a year. And I said, we got to get those numbers up. You have to. You have to. If the numbers that Trump say are close to true, 21 million illegal aliens coming into this country under Joe Biden, you have to get those numbers up. You take out Colony Ridge, a community designed exclusively for illegal aliens in the heart of Texas, you're going to get a couple 100,000 in one swoop. That'll bring that average up. Certainly will. Certainly will. I love the energy that the Trump administration has on the ground right now. I love that they're not backing down to the mainstream media, to the elements of the radical left who are saying, please, somebody think of the children. It's like, where were you when Jocelyn Nungaray was murdered and raped? Where was the think of the children attitude? Oh, families are going to be separated. Tom Homan said they can be deported together. Don't worry about it. You can all leave together. And we got a lot more coming. This administration is hyper-focused on fixing problems and putting the American citizen first. It feels brand new because we haven't been put first for a very, very long time. And you're seeing that change happen in real time. When Colombia refuses repatriation flights and Trump threatens them with massive tariffs, and within 30 minutes, the president of Colombia is saying, please, use my plane to send the migrants home. Please. You understand that we actually have an administration looking out for America again. And it feels good, man. It feels good. But there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. And you know what? FEMA and national disasters are high on everybody's watch list. We had a confrontation between Donald Trump and the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, which was pretty awesome. Epic, if you will. This happened Friday. Friday was a busy day for Trump. He was in D.C., he was in North Carolina, and then he was in Los Angeles. And the sparring that went on between him and Mayor Karen Bass, one for the ages. I'll bring it to you when we return. It's 11:21 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Well, the new Secretary of Defense says more executive orders are coming from President Trump. We'll go over some of those coming up at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It's 11:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I'm Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Our friends at betterwater.com. They'll get you a water filtration system, all the things. You know what happens if you don't filter your water, right? Like all the chemicals that are in that water.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
Betterwater.com.
I love that.
I don't know why. It gets funnier every time I hear it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's one of those things.
I mean, hey, it's what we want.
We'll continue playing it until it gets played out, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll bring it back. It'll be funny again.
Yeah.
I promise.
Play it. It's like, this thing again, and then it'll just roll back into being funny again.
Exactly.
Ironically.
It's perfect. 11:25, 25 past the hour here on Super Talk. So I made the comment earlier in the show that I try to check out for the weekend. I do. And when I put my laptop away on Friday, I was like, wow, the big story on Monday is going to be Trump versus Karen Bass. And then by the time I kind of checked back in on Sunday, I was like, oh, never mind. We just got into a trade war with Colombia, and now the Colombian president is sending the presidential plane to pick up our illegal aliens, and they're going to repatriate them. Like, insanity. But I still think what happened in Los Angeles was a massive story. You had President Trump and Mayor Karen Bass, who is always awkwardly smiling, like a Jack Nicholson Joker. Have you noticed that? She's got a Jack Nicholson Joker smile. And she is getting into it with President Trump because Trump thinks that the state of California, the city of Los Angeles, are taking far too long to help the citizens and allow them back to their properties to clean up the mess that the fires caused. And what transpired at a table with Trump, some Democrat officials, Melania, and Mayor Karen Bass, it was art. Honestly, it was art. And watching it happen in real time was just wild because he shut her down in real time. Trump told Karen Bass, stop taking so long.
We're bringing our city departments together so that people don't get caught in the loop of going from one room to the next. We want them all to be in the same room so that you can get busy rebuilding ASAP. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And we will clear the lots, absolutely, in the city and in the county. We are working together. Both levels of government are working in unity.
Months? Is it like we that's the answer that we got, and that's what we're all hanging on?
Yes.
So if you're telling us now faster, is it 6 months? Is it, I mean, all of our lives, rents, all this stuff is weighing on this.
6 months is no good. And the number one thing that we are going to do immediately, and you will see this happen, is to clear out the debris. And you know we're concerned right now over the weekend because of the potential rain, but we are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
You already heard Trump chime in. He goes, 6 months is too long. 6 months is too long. Well, we want you back in your homes immediately. Everybody says 6 months. That's ridiculous. And here's where things get a bit heated between Trump and the mayor. Again, she has the creepy smile on her face the entire time. I don't know if it's like a nervous thing with her or if it's too much Botox or what's happening, but she doesn't stop smiling throughout this entire spar with Donald Trump.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't cost a lot.
Yes, and they can.
You should let them do it because by the time you hire
that.
contractors, it's going to be 2 years.
If a family...
The people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can.
There's not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot.
Yeah.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked, I mean, you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
Trump immediately changing things in real time, making Karen Bass backpedal. And say, oh, well, yeah, you can. No. They can. You can go. No, yeah, right away. You could have started yesterday, I said. That was just the beginning. There was one Democrat official that was going at Trump, and Trump says, we're the party of common sense. And the Democrat goes, yes, sir. Wait until you hear that. I'll play it after the news with Ken Weaver. Right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now, the new Secretary of Defense says more executive orders are coming from President Trump. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reports.
As he arrived at the Pentagon for his first workday as Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth told reporters of coming executive orders affecting transgender service members and those who were kicked out of the military for refusing to be vaccinated for COVID.
The lawful orders of the President of the United States will be executed inside this Defense Department swiftly and without excuse.
Hegseth also pledged further military support for mass deportations and for security along the border.
Here in Nashville, the Department of Justice has filed another charge against one of the 5 illegal immigrants rounded up in a sex trafficking raid in Antioch recently. The Tennessee Star says 28-year-old Elmer Umberto Aparicio was charged on Friday with unlawful possession of a firearm by an illegal alien. Aparicio Castillo allegedly admitted to possessing a pistol and throwing it away while running away from law enforcement as they searched a 5-acre property with a building on it that was modified for use as a brothel. This was on January 8th. Heads up if you get Social Security benefits. CBS News reports millions of retired teachers, firefighters, police officers, and others with public pensions may have to wait up to a year or longer to reap the benefits of the recently passed Social Security Fairness Act. Now, that law says eligible recipients who previously only received partial benefits will get a full payment dating back a year. But the Social Security Administration says the law did not provide additional financing or staff to help implement the law or deal with the increased workload. 3 million people. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We are going to move as fast as we can, but we want you to be safe, and we want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can,
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do
to-
it because
No, no,
by
no,
the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a family...
The people are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can
There's
do
not that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking, I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract
If
that's going to charge him
want to build-
$25,000 to do his lot.
That's Donald Trump versus Mayor Karen Bass. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, betterwater.com. Trump just honestly laying out the fact that we are not wanting the government's help. Can we just do it ourselves? Can the government get out of our way? I think that's what a lot of people want, be it in North Carolina or California. Dealing with these disaster responses has been a pain in the you-know-what. With the red tape, the regulations, get out of our way. Get out of our way. And Mayor Karen Bass, well, we want everybody to be safe. We got to worry about safety. It's like, were you worried about safety when you didn't have water in your fire hydrants? Oh, weird. Were you worried about safety when you cut $17 million from the LA Fire Department's budget? No? Oh, strange. Color me shocked. Now it's about safety. Trump immediately dismantles this, well, let's wait and be safe approach. Says, get out of our way. Get out of the way.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I mean,
an
you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can.
I mean, she immediately changes her tune as soon as Donald Trump challenges her even the littlest bit. He wasn't rude. He was very forceful. It was like kind of like a dad, right? Like he was using his stern voice. That's what I tell my kids. I'm not mad at you. I'm using my stern voice. You got every now and again you got to break out the stern voice. That's what we got there. Trump and the stern voice. Mayor Karen Bass awkwardly smiled through this whole thing. Just smiling. Just keep smiling. Just keep smiling. Smile to keep from crying. He's like, you got emergency powers. Use them. Use them. Use them, ma'am. Madam. I use mine. You can use yours.
Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important
week
thing is
a
for
long
people
time.
to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now.
I love it. They want them to be safe. Again, this is from the mayor who cut millions from the firefighting budget and didn't have water in the fire hydrants. We want you to be safe. Please be safe. We have the most diverse fire department ever, just for safety. It's unreal. People want to go back in. They're safe. They're not safe now. Not under this leadership, let's be perfectly honest. No, not one bit.
They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, why aren't you going in? We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
It was last night.
Oh, but that was last night, Mr. President. Everything's changing now live at this press conference. 18 months for a permit to go clean your lot? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? It's insane. This is what they're dealing with in Los Angeles.
And that was last night. On that.
We can't even see our homes right now. We are blocked from entering our streets.
Right.
We can't even. This is our first time we saw our house was yesterday.
It's insane. We can't even see our homes right now. We're blocked from entering the street. Why? Couldn't we use those resources elsewhere? Let's be perfectly honest. It's insane what's happening in California. And Trump, he shut down Mayor Karen Bass, and then he shuts down Democrat Congressman Brad Sherman. Brad got up there, and Brad's trying to defend FEMA's response, and Trump shuts him down as well relatively quickly.
Mr. President, if I can just defend FEMA a little bit.
Yeah.
They brought thousands of people in. I don't know how they're doing in other states. They're doing a good job for us here. They've got a huge center that's open from 9 in the morning till 8 at night. But also, when you have a disaster this size, you need to be able to deploy thousands of people, which they've been able to do. Now, California, if we did it on our own, maybe we'd have thousands of people.
You do.
But if Rhode Island has a Palisades disaster, are they then supposed to keep?
How many people do you have in California? 36. How many? How many million? How many million people do you have? You have 40 million people. You're not going to get a few thousand people.
I love it. Yeah, you can find a few thousand people. You have 40 million in your state. And I love the comparison that Congressman Brad Sherman tries to draw. Well, what about Rhode Island? Is Rhode Island going to be able to get as many people? It's like, yeah, dude, Rhode Island's a lot smaller. So you would actually need less people, right? Like, you know what I mean? Wouldn't it be scaled to the size of the state, and wouldn't the state then be able to handle it? Also, Rhode Island would have the help of Massachusetts and Connecticut and New Hampshire and Vermont immediately. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. Well, we're not Rhode Island. No kidding. Rhode Island has water in their fire hydrants. I don't know what to tell you.
The problem with FEMA is they come from all over the country. They end up in arguments with your people from California because they want to do it a totally different way. And I can live either way, but you haven't gotten very much done with FEMA and all you have to do is look at North Carolina. It's one of the great disasters of all time.
He's absolutely right.
Mr. President, you can't have Rhode Island maintain a staff of thousands and thousands of people waiting to see if they have a disaster.
You know who came in and fixed North Carolina or the process? Other states, people from all over the country came. And you have the same thing. You have a lot of people from all over the country. Getting the people is not a problem.
And I hate the false equivalency. Well, but sir, Rhode Island. Rhode Island is, you wouldn't be able to get the people in Rhode Island. We need FEMA. Do we? Do we need FEMA? The same organization that was skipping homes because they had the audacity to have a Trump sign out front. Do we need FEMA? Or would we better be served if states took the lead on this? Honestly. I think we might be better served to have states take the lead on this.
Getting the organization's a big problem. FEMA's incompetently run, and it costs about 3 times more than it should cost.
I'm hoping
we can spend money on schools instead of giving money to bureaucracy. It takes you so much longer.
Mr. President,
it takes you so much longer
for helping our people.
FEMA has a standard, Brad, and I'm a builder. I was a very good builder. FEMA has a standard that's so slow. They want permit on permit on permit, and then they want permits on top of that. If you use FEMA, you'll be here for a long time. What I'm saying is get the city, get the state to give you immediate 24-hour permits. These people are going to build their own homes. They're going to get them built fast.
Yeah.
How many of the people, could I ask you one question? How many of the people, what are people going to do for financing? What are people going to do? How many people can build a home, percentage-wise, like where they don't have to go out and get funds? Some people are just not going to be able to rebuild their home because they have a beautiful home, but they don't have cash.
I mean, that's what it boils down to, right? And they don't have insurance either. And they're waiting for assistance, and they're not allowed to go in and even start the process. It's absolutely insane, and we got to get back to common sense. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. The distinguished gentleman from Lebanon, Tennessee, our friend Calvin, is on the line. What's up, Calvin?
Hey, Chris, I just wanted to say it sounds pretty good right now that elections have consequences.
Yep.
But, you know, also I've done the numbers on that $1,500 a day. I guess I was expecting a whole lot more on this mass deportation. That is nothing. But
and just to circle back, there was a Washington Post report that said Trump officials have sent out a quota to ICE officials at 1,500 a day. Now, I don't know if that's accurate. I don't know if they're pulling those numbers out of thin air. It is the Washington Post, after all. It could be a MAGA demoralization. That could be first month. Tom Homan said a couple times that he wants to ramp that up immediately, and now they're targeting Colony Ridge, which is the illegal alien development community where there's like 200,000 in that community in Texas where they're giving home loans to illegal aliens. That would get the numbers up pretty quickly, but I agree with you. If that's the end-all, be-all, we need more.
Also, we, as the American voters, we have the power to bring the left party to their knees and beg us. All we have to do is put a reminder on our phone about the middle finger on the way out, which they've been giving us the middle finger for years.
Yep.
But it should cost them the next 8 years.
I'm with you.
So, yeah, but they got to get them numbers up, Chris. They've got to get them up. That's just nothing compared to 21 million.
100%.
Even at 1,500 a day at the next 8 years, along with this 4, it's not enough.
Yep.
So,
I'm with you 100%. You know, it's like I hope that this is a starting point or that it's just fake news. We'll see. It's something that I'm definitely going to follow, and I appreciate the call. Let's go to Charles in Buffalo Valley. Charles, you're next on Super Talk. What's up, man?
Good morning, Chris. I don't know if I'm off point on this or not, but common sense is absolutely so necessary, and this guy's got so much of it. Trump has got so much common sense.
Yep.
If I own land, how does FEMA get to tell me when I can clean it up? And I think the most important thing they got to think about is that it's my land, and I want to get it restored as soon as possible. And I don't want to wait 2 years or 18 months or whatever for you guys to get it together to whatever process that is. Now, I've had a personal experience with FEMA, but not it actually was with when Nashville flooded a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But my point is that if you're in a hospital and you have a minor surgery or a major surgery or whatever, what's the first thing you want to do after that's over with? You want to go home, right?
Yep.
You want to go home. That's what these people want to do. They want it's demolished. Let us start restoring. Restoration is the key here. Let us get some normalcy back in our life so that we can start that healing process, so we can start rebuilding, so we can envision what we've got coming down the road. And then if it's a money issue with FEMA, let's go ahead and FEMA, hey, let us apply, but let us go ahead and start the process, and you can pay us back later.
Yeah.
Because we don't have time to wait for you. And FEMA, you know, back when Nashville flooded, I live in Buffalo Valley on the Caney Fork River. The state of Tennessee, and I may be off a little bit here, but I work with FEMA down in Atlanta, Georgia, because they do our flood maps and stuff. The state did this knee-jerk thing and required all of us to have flood insurance. We're not even in a floodplain. We live on a river, but we weren't on a floodplain. It took me 6 months for FEMA to get everything, to get all the necessary documentation to keep me from paying $8,000 a year in flood insurance.
Insanity.
So, well, they helped me. They got it done. They saved me I didn't have to have the flood insurance, but the process and the constant communication back and forth it was nuts. It was just nuts. But my point, and if I'm off point, I'm off point. But let these people get normalcy back, however they need to do it.
I'm with you.
Trump's point to the Rhode Island thing. Look, every time we have I live right off I-40. I see electric trucks when we have all these major catastrophes.
Yep.
They're coming from all over the place,
Yep.
all over the place to go help. That's what Americans do.
Facts.
So
yeah.
California needs to. Do they think that they're just like elitists and that they're going to handle everything themselves? They don't need no help or whatever. I mean, that's not the way we do it in America, man.
Yeah, I think you may be close to the truth with people from California, though. I appreciate the call, Charles. As always, it's 11:51 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're going to check in with Chad Benson, see what's coming up on the Chad Benson Show when we return right here on Super Talk.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It's 11:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Chris Hand here in studio with Chad Benson.
What?
Heck of a weekend, huh?
It was.
I said
football.
I said earlier. Yeah, I know. Chiefs rigged it again. I said it earlier. I checked out Friday afternoon, and I'm thinking the main story is going to be Trump, Karen Bass. I didn't even get to it till 11 o'clock.
Yeah,
because we had a trade war with Colombia.
Yeah, we did. That lasted about 2 hours.
The funniest thing is that the president of Colombia couldn't have chose a worse time for this.
No.
You have your third biggest export is roses, and you try to start a trade war right before Valentine's Day.
And we consume a lot of roses.
Which, can we also be honest, it's the most overrated flower.
Absolutely.
Period.
It is. It is. Somebody came, you know what? Somewhere out there, somebody came up with it, probably the Rose Industrial Complex.
The RIC.
That's right. They came up with some insanity to, you know, just like with the De Beers Company and diamonds, and they came up with all this crap, like you have to buy this, and it's got to be this much your salary over 2 months, and blah, 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 blah. It's all baloney.
I hate it.
That's not romance.
No. Also, there are much better flowers than a rose.
Yeah, there is.
There's like plenty of tulips are great.
Well, the thing is, too, giving, like, rather than just here's a bunch of roses that you're going to cut, that you're going to sit in the vase, they're going to die, how about a plant that will last a lifetime?
There you go.
Look at that, huh?
What would you suggest?
Something easy. See, because when we were in Arizona, you know, everything dies. So there's, like, specific things that you have, like a date plant, you know, like a date, you know, like a tree or something like that. Here's a palm tree. You're going to love this.
Yep.
But, you know, out here, I don't know what would last. I'm sure there's a lot better stuff because, you know, the desert, it's specific, you know, certain cactus, things like that.
It gets a little tough. I'm a big fan of the hydrangea.
There you go.
I think that's the right. I think that even though the trade war's been settled and the Colombian president is now offering his own presidential plane to take back the migrants, I still think that we boycott roses moving forward.
I think we should do that anyways, regardless of whether or not there even was a trade war. That was going to be our topic today. Boycott roses.
Boycott roses. If you're caught buying roses for your wife on Valentine's Day, we are stripping your man card.
Or we know that you forgot it was Valentine's Day and the person on the side of the road as you've got off the freeway had roses for $10 and you're like, I win again.
No roses. Throw them in the harbor with the tea.
Yes, that's right. So what else you guys talk about?
We talked about Donald Trump, Karen Bass. I wanted to talk about the confirmations and Hegseth, and I didn't even get to it.
No, it's too much.
There's no way that you can get to all the news these days with what's going on with Trump. It's insane.
No.
Where are you going on the show?
We're going to talk a little bit about immigration. I'm going to solve immigration because I just had enough of it. And
awesome.
I think I've got a great way to solve the immigration problem for all the countries out there who are just like, oh, we don't care if our people go there. Okay, well, maybe if other people from your country come here, you might think it different. And then, we're going to talk a little bit about obviously the NFL. Rigged, not rigged. There's some serious questions I think people have today, but the reality is, man, if you are Josh Allen, that you're not the rival of that guy. You can't beat him, right? You play better than him. You can't beat him because you don't play defense. But still, you're 7 feet tall, 5,000 pounds, and you guys don't even know how to do the tush push.
Oh.
So that was it. So we'll talk a little bit about that, a bunch of other stuff, including... Have you heard the Amelia Perez song?
No.
I have heard the song. I actually watched the movie.
You watched it? Why did you do that to yourself?
Because I can't complain about it, and I have an apology to make to Madam Web today.
Oh.
Which I thought was the worst movie ever made, and now I know what it is.
Formal apologies on deck with Chad Benson right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.